Well, as I said a little bit earlier, we're obviously very excited. Today's a really great day for our Aggie baseball program, and just blown away again by the support of the 12th man. Just to see that many people, as my wife reminded me, she said, that's twice as many people that showed up for your press conference, honey. So just to see our fans rally around Michael, our coaching staff, and our student athletes is really, really special. So great to celebrate it a little bit with our players, and just really excited about the future of our baseball program under Michael's leadership.
David and then Brent.
David Nuno, Texags. Trev, when did Michael become a legit candidate? From the very beginning of the players wanting to talk about his accolades and why they wanted him actually being the front runner?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the reality is, I've been in a few of these searches before, and there's always, somebody's name thrown out. And what I am really, just convicted about and determined about is to do real searches. To me, it feels like my job is to do what's in the best interest long-term of Texas A&M athletics or wherever you're at, is to really do a real search. And sometimes these don't happen to be real searches. The reason why you do a real search is you learn things in a search, right? Just by talking to other candidates. You learn things about the job. You learn things about that I hadn't thought about. And if I'm, 100% honest, very early on when names come, of course, well, that's a great idea. But I can't honestly tell you that I thought from the moment we started the search that Michael Earley is likely the person that we're going to be introducing today. That's why you do a real search, right? And so, there's over the years in hiring coaches, there's certain things that you look for. Again, there's no guarantee, but just having clear vision, clear eyes around where we are today, where we think we can go, and what are the steps in between and how we're going to execute it really is meaningful to me. And, I knew the players respected him. That's really, really important. You have to hire coaches, I believe, in this day and age, that the players identify with. It's really important. And it was very clear to me in talking with the players that, but that's just a small component. There has to be more to it. And so the way that Michael just laid out a vision, he knew exactly what his staff was going to look like. He was very self-aware. He knew what his blind spots were. He knew the fact that he hadn't been a head coach, that, hey, I'm going to need this. And sometimes as a young person, you don't have the wisdom to do that. He did. He had the self-awareness and humility to say, I need this, I need this, I need this blind spot. And just his overall passion, understanding. After the first Zoom I did with him, I'll just be totally frank, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I didn't know what to expect, but I would say that he knocked it out of the ballpark on the initial Zoom, and it was after that Zoom that it became clear to me, not only was he a kind of a fun candidate to talk about, he was a very serious candidate based on how he performed.
Was there a certain one thing that really stood out from his interviews, and then the fact that he had gone over to Texas for a few days with Jim Schlossnagle, did you take that into consideration as well?
No.
The fact that he had joined that new staff?
No, that really wasn't a part of it. I was interested in talking to anybody who was interested in talking to me. And then I was interested in talking to some people that maybe initially weren't interested in talking to me. I mean, that's my job, right, is to really reach out. But I don't know, Brent, I can't honestly say there was one single thing, I think sometimes it's just a feel, it's intuition. Again, he was very direct. He's a confident young man. I like that. I don't know how you're going to coach in the SEC in baseball and not have some confidence about your abilities. But there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. I didn't think he had that. I think he had confidence. I think he projected the fact that he had confidence. And then he projected the fact that he had enough humility to recognize that he didn't have all the answers and he was going to need help. And he was willing to do what it took to get the type of people that could fill in his blind spots and gaps. And to me, that's part of great leadership. I also think, his leadership with the team during the course of the year was pretty evident. So I don't know it's fair for me to, to point to one singular thing. I think it was just a collection of all of it that really kind of sold Michael. I mean, it doesn't hurt that the players strongly, I'll also say this team was very close to winning a national championship. And I believe they deserve the opportunity and right, to get that done. There's unfinished business. And so I'd be naive or, disingenuous to say that that doesn't enter the conversation, because I think it does. But I don't think that you hire coaches for that. You can't hire coaches for the next 6 months. This is a long-term hire, and we hired the best person that we believe is capable of leading our baseball program going forward.
And then joining the staff at Texas, you kind of understood that in terms of looking out for family, things like that?
Yeah, I really didn't put a lot of thought into that. At the end of the day, yeah, I mean, people have jobs. They have, I don't know what was being communicated to the assistant coaches. All I know is when it came time to working with our search firm to reach out to potential candidates, he was willing to engage and talk. And again, I really appreciated the hour that the general and I had with the players. I've always done that because I just really believe that, that team with those leaders have earned the right to have a voice. It doesn't mean they're hiring the coach, but they've earned the right to have a voice. I mean, again, just like Michael said, it certainly isn't my baseball program. I mean, it's theirs. And the reason why great teams win is it's a player-driven locker room in whatever sport it is. There's only so far you can go as an administrator or a coach. It's ultimately the players. The players own that team. So they deserved a right to have, some feedback. And again, I learned a lot about our baseball program from simply talking to them in a very vulnerable moment for them.
We'll go back behind the
Trev, back here behind the lights. Parker Ream with Fox 44.
Carter.
You talked a lot about the passion of the 12th man and even the players, coming to you to help make this decision. Was there some pressure, at least on your front, just about getting this decision right and wanting to get it right for all those passionate fans?
Well, I don't know that I'd call it pressure, but I'm not naive to where the importance of baseball to Texas A&M, to our community, and generally into our university. So, you just want to get it right. You want to do the work, to do the best job you can. It's not about me. It's about who's the right person to lead the program. And so a lot of people have invested a lot. I mean, I talked to a lot of people. A lot of people had opinions. A lot of people had multiple opinions in the same day, which was interesting. But so I try as hard as I can to be a willing listener. You have to recognize some of its noise, stay focused in on the process. And ultimately, I generally believe that if you do the work, the right thing happens and emerges. And so, yes, I guess in a sense, in light of how close this team was, in the sense of how the transition happened, there was extra scrutiny and probably extra focus to make sure that we did a really good job in trying to make sure that we keep this program. We don't want to take a step back. We have so much momentum in our baseball program. The last thing that we want to do is regroup and spend the next 3 years rethinking. We're going to keep going. We got a lot of big, as we talked about in the other area, we got a lot of big visions around this program. Baseball is critically important to this athletic department.
stay back on TV Road, Tyler.
Yeah, Trev, and you said in there about part of that vision is the ballpark. Has renovations in the stadium, has anything changed with that? And have you had any conversations with Earley yet about his vision and just kind of what are the plans like as of this moment?
Yeah, so that was a part of the conversation with all of the coaching candidates. We do have approval. I think there's a really good plan. As we've worked through it, we've done some initial pressure testing through a third-party consultant to work with our donors on what we think is available for donor dollars, as well as premium spaces. What I'm passionate about in this new reality of college athletics is we're not going to add any more debt service to our operating budget that's not tied to revenue. I mean, that's a very simple thing, right? We can't. But the beauty of what the response was from our work is that we can get it done. There is the demand. We have a lot of demand for club seats, suites. We have demand for extra seats, and we have donor interest in getting it done. There's a standard here. That's what I love about Texas A&M. There's a standard here of excellence relative to facilities. And so basically what I told every candidate, and what I told Michael was, I think there's a really good plan in place, but there's also stuff within it that's part of player development. And ultimately now Michael will sit down with us and our team, and he may have some slight alterations to what the previous vision was, and he'll be able to provide that input.
Stay back to TV Road, and then Ola.
Hey, Trev. You've answered this question maybe a couple different ways, but as far as the player input, what did they tell you other than just, because like you said, I know you're not going to just hire someone because short-term these players want so-and-so, but what did they tell you about why they thought he could do a good job as head coach that stood out to you in those conversations?
That's a good question. What I do is it was a little bit different. There was a lot of emotion in the locker room. This is a group that just came off a long season, right? Who came that close to winning it all, and then suddenly find themselves in a position that, quite frankly, most young people have never been in before, right? Some of us we've been fired or we've changed jobs, and it just becomes part of your natural. They hadn't experienced that. So there was a lot of emotion. But ordinarily what I like to do is walk around and just let them one by one. Hey, if there were a couple attributes that are important to you and what we look for in the next leader, what are they? I want to know. And, while it wasn't quite that formal because of the emotion, the consistent theme is they just want somebody who loves them. They want somebody who pours into them. They want somebody that cares about them more than just as a baseball player. They've been great baseball players their whole life. And so it's really more of the servant leadership piece. And that's what they wanted. And he said, and by the way, there's this guy named Michael, and it's who he is to us. He pours into us. We know he loves us and cares about us. And the fact that he's developed that relationship with them, then he can coach them hard. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Nowadays, you can't coach student athletes hard if you don't have a relationship with them. So you start with a relationship. And it just so happened, that Michael Earley, and I'm not suggesting there weren't other coaches who didn't have relationships, but in large part, many or most of the players believed in his ability to connect with the players and how important that was for them.
Second row, Olin, and then Travis.
Trev, a lot of what I was going to ask is basically you just answered, but I'll just put it this way. Being a former athlete yourself, and I'm sure had a close relationship with coaches, is there anything that you can recall that really resonated with you in a conversation with like any of the individuals? Anything in particular that that you could identify with in these conversations?
Olin, I appreciate the question, and I've always tried to do this. I got multiple calls from Jace. I talked to Gavin, and I don't want to. There's some confidentiality in those conversations that I don't feel comfortable, relaying. Other than I'll just say broadly, it was emotional. And like I said, these are young men that have big dreams. But the one thing that was very clear to me is, man, they love Texas A&M. They love being here. They don't want to leave. They want to be here. They love this place because they love the 12th man. They love the investment of the athletic department. I think they love the quality of education they're getting. So I think I'll probably stop there. I hope you can understand why. But yeah, I had a lot of conversations. Talked to Ted Burton. Talked to guys that had been here that aren't going to be back. So again, it's just part of trying to assemble as much information as you possibly can, because again, this decision is something that's very impactful and impacts a lot of people.
Front left, Travis.
Related question, but when we in these conversations, you mentioned you talked to Jace and everything like that. What did you learn about some of these guys and then the team, and some of the individuals on this team as they kind of talked with you through this process?
Number one, these are really intelligent young people. I mean, you can tell, like Gavin's off playing right now for Team USA. I mean, they've seen things, they've been places. I mean, this quality of baseball player at a place like A&M is not an amateur. I mean, you're also thinking about, they're dealing in an NIL world now where, they've had access to and in conversations with lawyers or agents and those types of things. So these are really intelligent young people that are very thoughtful, very respectful. No player demanded I do anything, just so you know. It was nothing like that. It was not, if you don't hire this, we're leaving. It was never stuff like that. It was, we love this place, Trev, and can we talk to you? And I'm really glad I did.
Anything else? All right, Trev, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. That will be it.
I got to do another speech? I didn't prepare for this one. Just thank you guys. I know there's some of you in here that I don't know yet, and I look forward to meeting you, and I look forward to even working with you when things aren't going great. It's all roses right now, but I know the first time I make a bad decision or we lose a ball game, I understand you have questions to ask. I understand you have a job to do, and I will always respect that. So thank you guys for just being a part of this and being here, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you and giving you all the time I can to help promote this baseball program and the players in it. So, again, I will always respect you, respect me. I think we'll have an awesome, great relationship, and just seeing how you guys have operated in the past, I know a lot of you in here, I see there's probably going to be no issue with that, so thank you guys.
Mike, a lot of people on social media, media included, were Zapruder filming your time at Texas, that press conference. Just kind of take me through your mindset, because I'm sure you were thinking about the kids here and wanting to come back, but just that whole kind of whirlwind, that moment, and then later making the call and getting the interview.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough coming back from the World Series, and yeah, I was thinking about all the kids here. I was thinking about me, my family, and protecting them, and having a job, and just so many different emotions. So yeah, it was extremely difficult, and I'm really glad the road led me back to here, and it was a tough one to get on, but at the time for me, I thought it was a necessary one to be, just for the protection and safety of my family and us, and I get the rivalry and all of that, but I was looking out for those guys and trying to take care of them.
We'll stay on the right side here. Coach, how do you even make sense of the last week from going to Austin, coming back, and then obviously being introduced today? And what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
I hope it's a long one. Yeah, it's been about a week, and it's been the craziest week of my life. So I hope you guys have gotten plenty to write about. Yeah, it's been wild, but it's been part of it I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed the challenge. I've really found out a lot about myself, about my wife, and the rest of my family, just kind of going through it with me. So I'm glad I'm here. They asked me, how long do you want to be here? And I'm like, I'm just trying to win my first game. So I hope I win a lot of baseball games, and I'm here for a long time.
We'll go on the left side, fourth row.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You know, Texas A&M is a really special place, and so the cool thing is that you got to experience it here over the last couple of years, and it's cool that Trev found someone that's not just taking a job, but knows how special this place is. Can you just kind of talk about you and your family and what this place means to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M, the 12th man, the whole university is super special. It hit me the first day I walked in here. I'm like, this place is different, and if you don't like different, that's your problem, you know. And I think the biggest thing that has taken us is the community and the people who are 97% Aggies, but it's the people in the community and the Little League parks and the elementary schools and the teachers and those kind of people I've met along the way. I mean, people I run into at the gym, that's what's made it so special for us. My neighbors, the Reed family, I love them to death. I'm so glad I can stay beside them. Those are the things that really just have made me always want to be here. I mean, I've been preparing to be the head coach here for a long time. It just happened a little quicker than I thought it was going to.
Michael, what was that like for y'all up in Omaha and everything? And, of course, there had been talk about that maybe Jim would be leaving. When did y'all first discuss that, possibly heading over to Austin? And just what's that like for you? Know, it's only been a week. A week ago, y'all were stepping off a bus.
Yeah, it was wild, man. I mean, just finding out that, like, early morning or late in the night after the championship game that, you know, this was a possibility, and just kind of talking over with my wife, I really didn't even, know what to think. Just tried to process, and like there's rumors of me leaving all the time, other coaches, so you kind of deal with that throughout a season. So just like hearing it and knowing it, it was like, okay, I just lost a baseball game, and trying to get over that. So it was tough. And we got through it, though. We were up all night, a lot of emotions, and just trying to figure out what to do, and just didn't have a lot of time to do it. So, yeah, it was a lot.
You're growing up in Indiana. What were your impressions of Texas A&M from afar, as a kid growing up there?
It it was always a place I thought I would never be at. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Texas A&M. Like, I knew what it was, but it didn't really hit me yet. And then I remember being in high A baseball, Carolina League, eating. And I think it was Johnny Manziel's first football game, right? I think they were playing Florida, and they got beat. Am I right? Hopefully I'm right. I remember watching this dude run around, and then I'm like, okay, he kind of drew me to watching the football games. And then, like when I told my son when we left Arizona State, I'm showing my age here a little bit. So I told my son, we're going to Arizona, from Arizona State, we're going to Texas A&M. And he goes, where Mike Evans went? So I'm kind of in that era a little bit. And so I've always been a fan since then. I don't know why, I just kept watching. And something has always drawn me to this place. One thing I didn't say, but the game, the 12th man game, it was on January 2nd, right? And that's my wedding anniversary. So I saw that the other day outside Brookshire. I had no idea. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I don't know why. Maybe that's weird, but I just feel super connected to this place.
Hey, Mike. With your career here at A&M, you went from volunteer to full time with the rule change, and then this. Does it seem like when you look back at it, there was just some fortuitous steps along the way that kind of led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I've stayed in the role I did for a while because of, honestly, the institutions I've worked at and what they've been able to provide financially and role they've been able to provide. I could have easily, since my first year of coaching, left for a title of this guy or that guy, but I was never – I've played it out right where I was never going to take any job. It had to be the right job. So, yeah, to answer your question, no, I think everything I've done has prepared me for this moment. Some might think it's a little sped up, but I don't because I've been preparing for it every day.
And with what did it mean to you to see that kind of groundswell of support from the players and their push for you?
Yeah, it's awesome. Every now and then you put your arm around a player and you tell them you love them and they know it. But for the most part, you're just coaching them. And for them to see it and to feel it and to know that I care about them means everything to me. I mean, it is truly baseball second for me. I got to win baseball games. I fully understand that. But how I treat these people as people and the relationships we build, they're all going to be different. But when they walk out of there, they'll know I respect them, I love them, I care about them. And whoever they are, I'll do the best for them to succeed.
Hey, Coach, Ben Peck with the NBC over here. We've talked about the whirlwind that it's been for you, but specifically for you and, your coaching aspirations, mentioning, maybe seeing yourself back here one day. What was it like, or I don't know if you've even come to grips with it, but just in terms of, there's a world where maybe you go over to Austin, then you go to another head coaching job, then eventually you get to somewhere like this. But for you to, over all the events, to be able to have your first head coaching job at a program like this and one that you're familiar with, just what has that meant to you and what has that been like?
It means a ton. It means everything to me, and it doesn't get lost on me, the responsibility that's been put in my hands. So I can't tell you how excited we are to be here and to be around you people and to be at Ballpark and just fully pour ourselves into the community and to the university. We've done that since we've been here, and we're going to continue to do it. And I hope to impact as many people as I can and get to know as many people as I can and do just the very best job I can. In the end, trying hard is not going to be good enough, but I promise you I'm going to try my hardest in everything we do, and I'm going to make mistakes, but every mistake I make I'm going to learn from, and I'm going to get better from it.
Yeah, Michael, Tyler Shaw with KBTX here in College Station. You talked about the player support that you showed, or that they showed towards you. What were those conversations like, and how much influence, I guess, right away were you, talking to the guys in the portal, and just what have those conversations been like with, bringing some guys back that are?
Yeah, we've been having conversations, and we were starting off really well. And like I said before, I had no problem with those guys going in the portal. It's the nature of the game, what we're in right now, and we're still working through some stuff with guys, and yeah, it's been interesting to say the least. Like, you're re-recruiting guys that you already recruited, and they understand, but they have questions for me, and it's my job to give them those answers. So it's been an interesting process to say the least, but I really like where we're at with it, And it's just, there's a lot of players, right? We're not just talking about this year's team. I got a big-time recommitment today from who I think is the best 2025 hitter from California in the country. So and there's some other guys I got to meet with this week. So it's just a constant battle from every single class, not just the ones we have. But my main focus is on this year's team, and I like where we're going so far.
Michael, wanted to ask you about Jason Kelly and just why that hire made sense and how much you think his head coach experience will help you.
Oh, it's going to be huge for me. I mean, that was a big part of this deal for me and a big part of selling my plan, and I'm just glad I could pull it off. He's an amazing human, amazing person, but he's a phenomenal baseball coach. I mean, this guy is super well respected, and he's also super connected on the West Coast, which is important to me. If you've seen over the last couple of years, we've had, there's probably more players from the West Coast on Texas A&M baseball than, I don't know, I'm not a historian, but than they've ever had. And my goal has always been, you're going to get the best players out of the portal, but high school-wise, we need to get the best players from the state of Texas. That's going to be the bulk of it. And if I can grab some of the best players from Arizona, California, and places over there, that's what I want to do. So JK is going to be a big part of that. I mean, he's been in the SEC. Jay Johnson trusted him enough to make him his first hire when he was at LSU. So he's obviously a pretty successful coach. So I like where we're at with JK, and I think you guys are going to really enjoy and really like what he has. He's, every pitching coach has a different style, and JK, just working with him, he's just really good.
And then there were multiple reports that Schloss may have known for quite a while before the end of the season that he was going to go to Texas. I'm wondering if anything seemed off to you in the last month or two,
Right.
and did you feel like that distracted the team at all down the stretch?
Nothing seemed off to me. He worked really, really hard, and so did everyone else to push his team to the very end. I think we were a swing of the bat away from winning a national championship. So I never saw one coach do anything that would hurt this baseball team. I never saw anyone stop coaching. So I hear rumors all the time. I mean, I've heard rumors since I've been here. So we just try to move on from those. But I never saw anyone stop coaching baseball or pushing hard or pushing the coaches hard. Everyone did their job every single day from what I saw.
Hey, Michael. I'm curious about the interview process. Like, when did you find out that you were going to get an interview? What was that preparation process like? And I know Trev talked about the clear vision. How did you go about putting that vision together to present to him?
That happened really quick because I already had it. I already had the vision of what I wanted to do. I prepared, obviously, so I didn't trip over myself. But the biggest part was, like, presenting who I thought was going to be the staff, because I had an idea, right? But then you got to pick up the phone and make those conversations. And that you're calling a sitting head coach and telling him, like, hey, this is my vision. And you got to sell it to him in just a couple hours. Good thing we already had a good relationship. So preparation was tough for sure, and he gave me a fair shot. Like, I'm fully understand that the players opened this door for me, right? They did, but I had to hit the marks and give them my vision and be super clear about it. And I made it clear to them as well too. I said, the players cannot pick the coach. They're not going to leave if I'm not the head coach here. They just want to be here if I am the head coach, and I just want to make that clear to them too.
Hey, Alex Miller with the Eagle. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Got a couple. When you got the job, you've talked a lot about family. What was it like telling your family and your kids that you were going to be coming back to A&M first?
They're really excited. Tears of joy from my wife, which she tends to do. Kids were excited. I think my son is mainly concerned with the fact that he doesn't have to switch baseball teams. He plays for the 12, so he's really excited. He doesn't have to go on a new team. I think we're super tight with our neighbors, and they don't have to leave them, and they love being at Bluebell Park. And so they were extremely excited. Talk about a whirlwind for them. They're 11, 8, and 6. So we're going here. No, we're not. What? So it was a lot, but I mean, now that we have a little bit of time to process, they've had more than me. We're just elated.
And then you talked about getting a couple of recommitments from current players, whether Jace or Gavin. What's it going to mean to maybe have a nucleus from last year's team that was so close to winning a championship coming back next year and possibly adding some more guys from that on that list?
Yeah, it means a lot. I want to be here with them, and I understand in the age we live of the portal and NIL, some of these guys are making business decisions, and that's just what it is. So I want to try to get as many of them as I can, and there's decisions now as a head coach that I'm going to have to make too. I wish we had them all. I don't think that's going to be the case, but if we can get the core nucleus, and that would be awesome. So again, it's just kind of part of the nature of the game we're in. If you don't like it, it's too bad. I don't think it's changing. So I fully embrace where we're at in college, I guess amateur sports you'd call it, and I'm fully, prepared to have all those tough conversations with them. But yeah, I would love every single one of them back.